there was one particular event in our life where the money wasn't there, and of course, you're an excellent fix-it, detailed person.
To my own fault sometimes.
Well, I mean, so this opportunity came along, and it looked like in the natural that you should take it, because we weren't quite paying the bills then. And so tell us about that, how God taught you.
When Gary and I first got married, I actually paid the bills, and I started to learn, wait a minute, I want him to lead our family. I don't want to be the one that's taking charge. And so God was kind of a process of changing things. I handed the finances over. I started trusting God, trusting my husband. We started working together, sitting down, paying bills together, praying over our needs together, looking at our business, learning to communicate, talk through issues. And as we started learning to communicate and come into agreement, we learned some things. But financially, things were tough. And one morning, I'd had it, struggling. And I got a phone call. The enemy knows how to set you up at just the right time to get you to bite the bait, right? To go into debt. You need a new car, and you're just like, I'm tired of this clunker. It keeps breaking down. And you see that shiny ad, and it all looks good. And same time, you get that envelope in the mail that says they're going to give you a loan at low interest or whatever, and you're set up by the enemy. And so I was set up this one morning, got a call, and someone was wanting to know if we knew someone that wanted to start a business and do this company and this business. And they were headhunting, basically. And they talked to my husband. He said, oh, call my wife. She knows everybody. She can tell you. Well, as they began to describe the position to me, it sounded pretty doggone well, good. I was like, hey, I want that position myself. I need money. I'm tired of living in this farmhouse. I'm tired of these bills. And my husband's not making enough money. I need to do something, right? I'm a woman. Watch me roar. I'll get us out of this mess. And so ladies, we're fix-it people. And so, that tendency is to, how can I fix it? What can I do? And so I made this decision. I'm going to go take this test. I said, well, I might be interested. So I went and took the test. And of course, they get back with me and they said, we've never had anyone do as well on this test as you did on this test. I'm set up a second time, right? Because now not only have I gone there, and many times we do that in marriage and family, we don't really mean we want a divorce, but we throw that word out there in a communication because we're struggling and we just want to get their attention. Or, I took the test, or we go look at the store, or we go shop for cars when we can't afford them. We bite the bait the enemy puts out there for us, and we get into trouble. And so I took the test. Next thing I know, they're offering me the job. And I'm like my flesh is getting stroked, right? I'm a stay-at-home mom. I've got these children, and there's no money, and I feel like I'm misunderstood, and what happened to my dreams, and all these things. And so here I am now. I'm getting set up. So the morning I was supposed to go for the final interview, and they were going to hire me, and I was going to start my career. And wouldn't you know, also the woman that was in charge of hiring, it was a woman, and she was a successful career person. So everything I left, all those things I left when I was, that single feminist, got married, decided I was going to be a stay-at-home mom and raise my children, because we decided we were not going to lose our children to this world system. We saw all the pits out there. We're going to do this right. During this season, we've only got a window that's small to influence our children, so I'm going to stay home with them, and we're going to have a business and work as a team. But the next thing I know, that I lost sight of that vision, and I'm going to this final interview. I've got my stilettos and my suit, and we're in the farmhouse, and I'm waving goodbye to my little children, and I can see Tom was about 18 months, and I can see him press his little face up against the window and waving. I get a little emotional when I tell it, because I realized I was at a pivotal point. My family today is such a blessing. Our kids are they're awesome, and they're doing wonderful things for God, and they've got solid lives. And I think how close I was to letting go of so many things because of money, because of that family work balance, because of that money problem situation that every family finds themselves in. Back in the 50s, women could stay at home, and men would make enough money because the jobs were good, and our culture was not based on two incomes, and you could actually raise a family on one income. What did we get with all of the things that we've changed? It doesn't seem like we got a good shakeout deal out of this thing. So anyway, I found myself that morning getting in the car, a little prideful, thinking I've got my suit, got my stilettos, I'm headed to my job, I'm going to get this position. The president of the corporation was flying in to actually recruit and hire me that day, and I was going to sign the contract and become their employee. And as the night before, as I was wrestling a little bit because the Holy Spirit was dealing with me, I prayed this prayer. I said, Lord, I know you don't hit people with a 2x4 over the head. I know you're not like that, but you know what, Lord, I'm stubborn. I need you to hit me over the head with the 2x4. I'm giving you permission if you are not wanting me to take this job, I need the 2x4. Please go for it, do it. And I said it kind of like tongue-in-cheek a little bit. So the next morning I get in my van and I'm headed down our Dodge Caravan down our long driveway in the 1800s farmhouse. And as I'm going down the driveway, we had a new snow. And heavy new snow. Yes, it was deep actually. And I can still see my husband when my van slid and did a 180 and off into the ditch. And in the driveway. About 3/4 of the way down, I can still see my husband coming out in knee boots and his shorts and a t-shirt out in the cold. And he's like, first thing I say to him, because I'm all high stress, right? I'm performing and trying to do something great. I'm like, you don't want us to succeed. You don't want us to fail. You want us to live in this whole farmhouse and be broke forever. I'm having a meltdown, okay? Anyway, because I'm, for one, out of the will of God, and I'm stressing on the other, right? And so anyway, he's like doing what every man would do, like trying to fix it, right? So he gets boards and he's sticking them underneath the wheels and trying to get me out of the ditch and get me on my way. It ain't working. It isn't working. And so I'm like, plan B, all right? I'm a fix-it woman. I've got plan B. I'm going to go across the street, borrow the neighbor's vehicle. So I called her and I said, can I borrow a vehicle? I need a car really bad. She goes, well, the only thing here is the old truck, but you're welcome to it. I come over there. I get in the truck, and it was one of those that had the floor starter that you push. I think it was from the 50s anyway. And so I'm like, and it will not start. It will not start. And I'm getting really frustrated. I'm praying. I'm commanding it, but I'm out of the will of God, right? And so anyway, I'm like, oh, I'm so frustrated. I try again. I finally flooded that thing. I know enough about vehicles to know I flooded that engine. So I've lost it now. I go in the house and my friend's there. She's a woman who's raised her family, and she knows that we're doing some ministry in churches. We're not pastoring or anything yet, but we're ministering here and there in churches, and we're trying to homeschool our kids and raise them up in the way they should go and invest in them, but our finances are tight. We're living in this old farmhouse. And so she goes, Drenda, what are you so all fired up to go do today? And I said, this is the career of my life. It's an amazing opportunity. It's this kind of income and that kind of thing. And she just listens to me, and she looks at me. She goes, that is not God's will for you. What are you doing? She said, your husband needs you. Your kids need you. You need to get back home and be the wife and mother God's called you to be. And I mean, every bit in me would be rebellious, except for I invited this 2x4, right? I'm like, well, there's the 2x4. So anyway, I picked the phone up and I called that corporation and I said, I'm so sorry. And I really appreciate the offer. And it's a compliment and such an honor, but I have to turn it down. I cannot do this. I have a family to raise, and my children need me in this time. They went on, no, you're overreacting to a very rough morning. We understand there's snow on the ground. We'll talk tomorrow. I said, no, I'm sorry. This is not the right thing for me. And they called me every day the next week, and it went on for 2 and 3 months. And I had to keep making that decision over and over and over. And I say all that to say this. The enemy knows how to set you up. He knows how valuable your precious children are. And the truth is, the hand that rocks the cradle truly does rule the world. And the world is in trouble because parents have let go of the cradle and let go of their kids and let go of the calling to raise children and given it over to a system that's become very socialistic. And really, honestly, our great leaders in the beginning of this nation were apprenticed by their parents. Only 20% of the people in the beginning of our nation worked for anyone. 80+% of the people had their own companies, their own businesses, and their children grew up being apprenticed in those businesses. And if they didn't want to do that with their life and take over the family business, one of their friends would apprentice them. And so I might have a son that wanted to be back then a cobbler, and somebody else had one that wanted to be a blacksmith. And we'd say, okay, my son will come over and train under you because he has a natural aptitude. But most children and most families raised up, even Jesus was raised up by his parents. Right. In the nurture and the admonition of the Lord. He was raised up in the home and the family business and in a synagogue. And those were the two places that God molded his character. Right. And I believe those are still the places today, Gary, that God wants families to really reconsider and rethink about where is the most training need to happen.
That's right. And so I remember, we had a business then, and you just redirected your intelligence, your efforts, the best scoring test candidate. You just redirected your talents and abilities towards our family and our business. And that made all the difference. We began to move that thing down the road. You had great ideas. Life changed because we became a team. We were no longer trying to do two separate things. And the finance, I had a lot to learn.
I did too.
I had a lot to learn back
We
in those
both did.
days. But, your heart was for the family, even in thinking about that job. It wasn't for your independence.
Right.
Your heart was for God and the family. But the bottom line is, there's a better way. And there's families listening, I'm sure. There's a lot of people that, like you said, dual incomes are necessary. But the bottom line, no matter where you're at in life, and you have to know who is raising your kid, who's training. You're still responsible, even though you may have a great private school that you have confidence in, you're still responsible to make sure that you are raising that child.
Right.
And so that's what we did. We
Yes.
came together as a team.
Hey, thank you for watching this video. And I've started a new YouTube channel. It's called Drenda on Guard. Come over there and check out all the things we're doing there where we declare a war on sadness and have a conversation about information that's happening in your life. Go to Drenda on Guard, and I'd love to talk to you there.